Okay. Curses, what are you doing? Oh. Hold on, let me turn that off. It's probably not a good idea. Okay. First of all, I got curses to work again! Yay! We're playing Lookouts. I don't know anything about Lookouts other than the fact that it is a visual novel. And apparently it's gay. Which is why we're playing it during Pride Month. Oh, it's gone full screen. Oh, I don't like that. Ow, what is wrong with my fingernail? How? Settings. No, I wanted to look at the settings. Stop. Stop. Full screen? No. Resolution? Is this the minimum? Okay. Hopefully this will work. Hold on a sec. There we go. So, you sure we can trust this friend of yours info? It'll be a crying shame if you're wrong about this. This guy is someone to ride the river with. He'd never sell me bunk info. That town has struck gold. That's what we heard. Heard? He just heard about it? What kind of source is that? We can't go off of rumors, you nutcase. But think about it. We'll be living like English kings if we take over a supply like that. What else are we gonna do? The last job was a bust. We got nothing left. Alright. Well, we've had some bad luck and are running low on supplies. We'll take that town by hook or by crook. And if they don't have that gold, we can take them for what they do have and skedaddle. The lookout will go early in the morning and see what we're up against. But I reckon we can bulldoze this burg and have some fun either way. Make sure to bring us back some juicy details. Would you, tomboy? He firmly slaps you on the back. Laughter fills the camp around the roaring fire. Sounds like you'll be riding at sun up to check the town out. You feel it's best to get some sleep. The desert is an orange haze. Scorched sands whip up around your horse's legs. The sun is hot against your back as you ride towards the town. There's not much to be done while riding. The desert is lonely, harsh, bare. Only thing to do is think. You don't like being alone with your thoughts so often, for so long. But you always are alone as the lookout, alone being the odd stick of the gang. No one talks to you unless they need something. You daydream as you ride, like usual. Flights of fancy, of settling down somewhere. You're tied to Curry Wolf from this gang. Is it so much to ask to be able to live in peace? To not have to fight for survival, always on the run? Maybe that's what your life will always be like, gang or not. A hunted outcast. They could have sent you off with some playing cards at the very least. come to an outcropping near a cliff. Tying up your horse, you approach the edge and see the town come into view. A nice frontier town, small but clearly bustling with people. White painted fences on the wooden buildings glint and gloom in the midday sun. You can't see much else from way up here and turn to go get your binoculars. You open your saddlebag and pull the metal binoculars out, brushing it against the poncho to dust off the lenses. Turning back to walk to the edge, a figure suddenly rounds the corner of the large rock you've decided to set a camp out under. Out of instinct, your hand snaps to your holstered gun and pulls it, trained squarely at the head of this new person. The bird, who seemingly came from nowhere, looks at you, clearly just as surprised and out of sorts from your own presence. He shifts backwards, eyeing your hand on the gun. The air feels very still all of a sudden, and given you have the upper hand, you take a moment to look at who you just crossed paths with. He's definitely not an outlaw. I mean, he's definitely an outlaw, like yourself. A rugged beak shining in the sun centers a face you admittedly find charming. His face and arms are marked with scars, and a large sawn-off shotgun hangs in his holster. Since he's a bird, you know to be wary, just like he'll know to be wary of a canid like yourself. Howdy there. What's your name, partner? Joseph. And what are you doing all the way out here, Joseph? You seem a dreadful long way away from it, where one might think you should be. Could ask you the same question. You stare him dead in the eye. He's pretty calm for someone having a gun pointed at his head, but you can see some of his feathers quivering. Were you trying to sneak up on me, Joseph? Rob me blind where no one can see? I bet you thought a fella missing an arm would be easy. No, sir. I had no idea you were here till I walked around this here rock. He pats the red stone beside him as if to make his point. Sir, what in the Sam Hill? You lower your gun like your shoulder joint just gave out and let it hang there. In all my years, no stranger has ever called me sir. Well, color me surprised, fella. You'd have to be blind or full as a tick to not see an outstanding young gentleman. All right. Now you're just licking my boots. The hawk puts a hand on his chest. God is my witness, I ain't lying to you. You holster your gun and snort a short laugh. May he strike you down as penance then. What are you doing out here? Picking flowers? A smile drops from his face. He stops short and swallows, like he can't bear to say the next words. I'm part of the Black Vulture gang. I'm on lookout here to survey this here burg. That's very forward of you, considering I just had a gun pointed at your face. I'm part of the Curly Wolf gang. I'll be damned, you boys have been all over the West. What brings you here? Much the same as you, I would imagine. Rumors of gold. You'd have it just right. Well, I can imagine what my boss might want me to do coming across someone who's sticking their beak in our business. Joseph tenses up, feathers ruffle. He understands full well what you mean. Conflicting interests and all. But he's not here. Would be a real waste of a good bullet to use it on you. Is that an insult, or are you trying to make a mash on me? A small jib is enough to make you stop talking and search for the binoculars you threw when you pulled out your gun. Turning your face away to hide the blood rushing to your cheeks under your dark fur, you dust the binoculars off again and walk over to where Joseph is standing, his eyes keenly trained on the town. Don't need no binoculars then, huh? No, sir. These eyes can see all the faces of those people down there, no problem. Sir, again, maybe it's just a habit of his to call people that. Just like me. Say, why do you keep calling me sir? I ain't your boss, you're just that much of a polite suck-up. Costs nothing to be kind on the trail, I've found. What do most people call you then? You thought this might come up, of course. You're surprised it took this long for him to ask about who you are, what you are. Most would say tomboy, I would think. Or other things I wouldn't repeat in such polite company. And what would you call yourself? The question takes you by surprise. Something else no one ever asked you. I'd call myself a man. Huh, is that so? He's gonna think you're a nut now, you just know it. You'd be better getting on your horse right now and riding back than staying another second round this stranger. How funny. I guess we're in the same boat if I'm picking up what you're putting down. Might say that the guys at the camp don't use shove the queer to talk about money. You nod at him, unsure whether to laugh or not. Neither of you seem sure what to say now. Instead, you hold the binoculars to the bridge of your nose and investigate the town, looking down into the valley. After a spell of looking at nothing in particular in silence, you take the binoculars away from your face again, readjusting to the late morning light. You glance at Joseph's keenly trained eyes, then back to the town. You can't help but stare at the clump of a couple dozen or so buildings. You couldn't help but think about the real people's lives going on down there every day. Deaths and celebrations, harvests, prayers. How you were gonna hurt him. How you were both gonna hurt him. I don't get it. Joseph's voice snaps you out if you're staring. Why would Black Vulture wanna come here? There's nothing here. No mines in use, no banks. They sure as hell ain't rich by the looks of things. Maybe they struck a new vein. This is a miner's town after all. But you're right. Something strange is going on. Well, two sets of eyes are better than one, right? You wanna work together? You watch my back, I'll watch yours, deal? A huge feathered hand shoots out to you in expectation. You look at his face. You lock eyes for a moment. You're not sure what, but there's something in his eyes that makes you feel seen, being looked at rather than through. You gently grab his hand, and a second wing clasps on and gives your whole arm a big shake. Wow, careful, Larry. I don't need to lose another. He lets go and puts his hands on his hips, smiling at you. Hey, come on now. Let's get on down there. He walks past you and heads toward a winding rocky pathway down the side of the valley cliff. You take a moment to look at the town again, walking along the cliff edge to catch up with Joseph, wondering if he could see how red your face had been under your black fur. Staring down the cliff face, the shade of the valley is a welcome change after your long ride in the sun. The climb down is quiet, only a few grunts and gripes. A couple voices of concern from Joseph you quickly waved off. You both approach a wooden sign you spotted a little ways off, swaying in the desert wind. It looked relatively new, a board hanging on 2 chains, a word carved into the wood. Can you read it? It was only a single word, but you couldn't piece together quite how to say it. No. I'm sure someone will tell us. You notice some familiar smells drift on the wind as a gust blows through the town past you. Tobacco smoke, whiskey, stewing meat from somewhere. It reminded you of the camp. Walking more into the town, you get a better look at the buildings that were just dots up on the cliff. There was a saloon, at least, seemingly one of the older buildings in the town, as well as what you guessed was a sheriff's building, although the sign outside looked to be busted up. Everything else you could see from here seemed to be houses and whatnot. Leftovers clearly made by miners, not built to be sturdy or last long, but had been fixed up to be livable for folks. Clearly the people here like this place, and if they get a whiff of why you're both here, alright partner, I say if we get given any evil eyes, we hightail it out of here. Ain't worth getting shot in a place like this. Sure thing. You got each other's backs, remember? You nodded at him. We'd best get talking to people. Daylight's burning. Oh, here comes someone now. Sure enough, you see a short figure approaching you from the sheriff's building. You hear the pound of a cane on the dirt as they limp towards you with vigor in their step. When they get closer and the haze of the desert heat obscures them less, you see a smartly dressed old lizard standing before you both, cane in one hand and a metal flask in the other. Howdy, fellas. I'm Sheriff. Welcome to Clemency. Pleasure to meet you, Sheriff. Gave the lizard an expectant look, waiting for a name. Sheriff. My name is Sheriff. Just Sheriff, that's all you need. And what do you call yourselves? My name's Joseph, and my associate here is... He gestured towards you and turned to look at you, subtle panic running across his eyes. You realize that he just realized you never gave your name. What is your name? Robin's pretty good. I'm Robin, pleased to meet you. You said this while looking at Joseph, resisting the urge to wink at him before looking back to Sheriff. So what brings you two to our fine town? We're just riding through, needed a rest stop. There's a problem. There a problem with that? Joseph nudges you with his elbow a bit, glancing at his eyes. You can tell he's saying, "Don't be so rude." No, not at all. I'm just the closest thing we have to a welcome committee, and it's always nice to see some new faces all the way out here. How long will you be staying? The saloon has some rooms if you'd like to stay the night. It's an awfully kind offer, Sheriff, but we'll be gone before nightfall. At least that's the idea. Maybe we'll like this town so much we stay. Joseph and Sheriff both chuckled, and Sheriff sighs. Well, you boys let me know if you need anything else. I'll be at home most likely. Will do. Yep. With the tip of the hat, Sheriff turned and started walking back to the building at the end of the road. With the lizard out of earshot, Joseph turns to you. So, partner, what's our plan? You look around the town for a moment, surveying the handful of people walking around, talking to each other around their homes. Taking in the warm wind blowing past you with a deep breath. We get talking to folks. And what, they just run their mouths about all the gold they found? No, but I reckon a town this size, if they struck something, there'll be a buzz about it. We ask them about themselves, about the town. Someone will spill sooner or later. Alright then. Well, I got a pretty good peep at the place on the way down. We got a saloon just here. We got some sort of town hall over on the far side. We got sheriff's station at the end of the road by the looks. Where to? It's time for the gaming part of the video game, I see. Let's check the saloon. I reckon if anyone knows anything about these rumors, it'll be in there. Alrighty then. Walking through the doors of the saloon, you're hit with the very familiar smell of tobacco and alcohol hanging in the air. A couple patrons drink and talk quietly in the corner, not taking any notice of you two. You see a dozen or so tables, and looking up, there's a second floor with the rooms Sheriff mentioned. Howdy there! Your attention is grabbed by an excitable and friendly voice coming from a short bird standing behind the bar, who is now grabbing a couple glasses. My name's Bartholomew. What can I get you, fellas? You started whipping the glasses expectantly, glancing between both of you as you walked a few steps from the doors to stand at the bar. I'll get a beer. Alrighty. And you? I'll have what he's having. Yep, coming right up. He set the mugs down and disappeared through a door behind the bar in the back room. I don't have any money on me, Joseph. Don't worry about that, it's on me. He pat you on the back with a big wing a couple times, but withdrew his hand when he saw you wince a little. I'm sorry, was that too hard? No, you're fine. You hadn't winced from pain, you just weren't used to someone touching you like that, at least friendly-like. Bartholomew reappeared with two glasses, tipping them into the mugs with satisfying lugs before taking a couple coins from Joseph. Thank you kindly. You both take a sip. Joseph seems to enjoy it, but you find it a bit more bitter. You try not to pull a face. Not like it? You smile weakly. Not my thing. Noted. He winks at you and you feel your cheeks redden a little. You both keep drinking while the bartender busies himself behind the bar. The saloon is quiet. A piano sits gathering dust in the corner, seemingly untouched for many moons. Wind whistles through a gap in the saloon doors, carrying the sound of desert insects. Slow day, huh? You look up from your drink and see he's looking at the bartender, who doesn't seem to have taken any notice. He glances at you both, realizes rather sheepishly that he has been talked to. Oh, beg your pardon, slow day? Nah, this is about the usual. Gets a lot more lively in the evenings when the sun goes down. Everyone comes here to take a load off. So you know everybody here pretty well then. Well, of course. Not exactly a big town. We're a pretty tight-knit lot here. Why is that? This is a mining town, right? These places usually explode with people. Well, I can't say I know much. He looks oddly unsettled by your question. How long you lived here for? Perks up again from whatever you said that troubled him, the brightness returning to his voice. Oh, well, I'd say somewhere close to 8 years. That's a darn long time. Yeah, I suppose it is. What made you stay? Never mind staying. How'd you even find this place? I've never even heard it until we stumbled past. Bartholomew's cheery smile drops a little, morphing into something more wistful, like the face of someone looking at an old, now bittersweet photograph. You boys ask a lot of questions, don't ya? You and Joseph look at each other for a moment, expecting the other to say something, but nothing comes out. I don't mind to give it a fair shake. This town ain't the most exciting. It's nice to talk to some new ears that ain't tired of my squawking already. He gives a little half-hearted chuckle. Well, I found this place because I heard about there being gold. Like a lot of folks, I was fixing to get my fill. You and Joseph both lean a little at the mention of gold. My fiancé was running away from home, and I was going with him. We thought we'd go out west and make our fortune. Looking back on it, I get why so many call us foolish. I might have been one of them if it weren't for the other way around. I think I got that wrong, but I don't care. But we had our hearts set on it. We followed the road by wagon, and it was darn tough, hellish even. Darn tough, hellish even. There we go. Thank our lucky stars we made it here to Clemency on a wing and a prayer. That was when we really felt like we were foolish. When we got here, people talking about gold, we almost got ran out of town. I don't know the details, but there was a lot of trouble here when miners ran this place. No one's been digging for decades now, but word hadn't traveled far enough, it seems, to let us know at the time. At first, Sheriff told us to leave, didn't want no more of our kind causing trouble. But when Sheriff saw how stuck we were, how we had nowhere else to go, how rough the journey had been on us, Sheriff's nothing but kind. Could see we weren't troublemakers, just wanted a better life somewhere. He shrugged, like there was nothing more to it. With the town's help, we got gussied up this here saloon into something I could run, and the rest is history. I'm glad y'all found something here. Yeah, I can say that for sure. Clemency may be small, but it's something real special if you ask me. So, there's no gold. Bartholomew leans back against the shelf behind him, crossing his arms. Not as far as I know. The mines are around here somewhere, but I ain't seen it. This hasn't been a mine in town for a long time, and folks here don't think of it as one. You do well to keep that in mind. He taps the side of his beak as if to say, if you catch my drift. Even so, I'll be interested in the history of the town. Afraid that well dries up here, but there's others who have been here far longer than I have. You can always talk to Sheriff if you ever get it. Sheriff made this place what it is today. Want to know something? That's the lizard to talk to. That's the lizard to talk to. Okay. Thank you both for bop. No problem, it's my pleasure. Bartholomew stood up from his lean and stretched his back and arms a little. Slinging his cloth over his shoulder, he picked up a small clinking and rattling box before walking through the back room. Daylight's burning. I think we best get going. Agreed. You stood at the bar and waited a moment while Joseph downed his beer, and then yours too. Hope you could hold that. Ah, please. How little do you think you must think of me? Only a couple beers. You should have seen me at the Long Branch and Dodge. Drank the entire gang under the table. You can't help but smile at his cockiness, unsure whether to believe him. You briefly think back on the times the gang had gone to bars. You were always told to stay outside, don't wander off. A dog on a leash waiting for master to come home. Staring into lamplit streets and hearing the braying crowds all around you, drunken strangers enjoying each other's company as much as their liquor. At first, they told you it was dangerous for you to stray too far. Then they started telling you to stay outside after you'd beaten the teeth out of a guy in an alley who you knew had been staring at you. Couldn't have you causing them needless trouble. Off so soon? Bartholomew re-emerged into the bar, looking expectantly. Well, don't be a stranger, strangers. You're welcome to come back later when the bar is more lively. My husband would love to meet you both. The casual lilt of his words caught you off guard, and you think you see Joseph stumble a little. Failing to get any words out, he just tips his hat, and you both leave the saloon, stepping back into the dust and dry desert heat. Where to? What town hall? There might be a meeting dropping on at the town hall. Seems worth a look. Sounds good to me. I wouldn't mind sitting down a spell neither. You both start walking to the outskirts of the town, weaving between the clumps of homes down the dirt banks. You keep walking on a flat stretch, smooth and compacted from the frequent travels of people. Some townsfolk on their porches wave at you or give a little afternoon as you pass by. Is it just me, or does it feel like everyone here is nicer than most? Well, maybe, but I ain't complaining. Sig. He gives an emphatic wave to a small child shyly hanging around the outside of their house, under the shade. I could get used to folks being nice to me. They not usually. I mean, I don't stray far from the gang a lot of the time. Maybe this is normal. Yeah, I suppose I wouldn't know either. You arrived at the large wooden building you've been heading towards, noting how similar to a chapel it looks. Joseph walks up the small steps and opens the door with a rattle, holding it open for you. Thank you kindly. He follows you into the short, darkened hallway, closing the door behind him with another wooden rattle. The meeting hall is fairly large and simple and bright. The wood walls are varnished and gleaming from the ample sunlight filtered through the arched windows. Rows of benches line the aisles, half facing away and half facing towards you on each side. Sitting on a nearby bench turned away from you is a hunched figure in black. Hearing you come in, the figure jumps to life, raising from the seat. They turn to you both, revealing themselves to be an elderly tortoise holding a small book in one hand. Do my eyes deceive me? Do I see new visitors in our town? He walks with the charismatic slowness of someone his age and nature down the with the charismatic slowness of someone of his age and nature down the aisle towards you, but with a sprightly spring in his step. He tucks the book under one arm and extends both hands to shake hands with Joseph and then you. Welcome to Clemency, to our meeting hall. I'm Jacob. What might your names be? I'm Joseph, and this here is my associate Robin. Pleasure to meet you. I assure you, the pleasure is all mine. It has been a good while since we had fresh faces around here. Now you'll have to excuse me, but I have some business to attend to quickly. Feel free to sit and pray here while I return if you so wish. Before you can ask any more questions, he shuffles between you and out the door. You and Joseph look at each other quizzically, sitting down on the nearest bench together. What did he say? Sit and pray here? That's what I heard too. Is this a meeting hall for prayer? Meeting house of God? And I don't get it. You can't help but smile at his musings as he looks around the room, looking into the rafters of the ceiling before turning back to you. You lock eyes with him, staring into the honey golden brown streaked rings of his keen gaze. He smiles at you coyly and looks away, readjusting in his seat. You realize you were holding your breath. You sit up on the bench for two. The hard wood at your back reminds you of the church days. All the fuss and protest against your mother about your Sunday best. You don't miss the frills and laces at all. You do miss singing hymns with her. She had a beautiful voice. I don't remember the last time I prayed. Don't cross my mind very much. Can't say you're missing anything. All the good it'd do you. Not a believer? I don't want to blaspheme, but God's done a lot of jack squat to help me all my life. Don't really feel like praying to someone who doesn't care about me, or anyone like me for that matter. Which is why I wouldn't have pegged you as a devout man. Joseph laughed a little, almost mocking the idea. No, I don't think anyone could accuse me of that. Not with some of the things I've done, but I still pray. Only the Lord knows if he's listening. But it helps remind me what's important to me. A lot of the time I just pray for family, hope they're doing fine. I hope they are too. There was a momentary silence between you, like the subtle shift of coals in a long burning fire, now snuffed by the door rattling again. You looked behind you, and sure enough, it was Jacob shuffling in. He grabbed a broom and briefly swept some dust he'd tracked on the ground and back outside before closing the door with another rattle. Forgive me for the delay. I hope I haven't kept you two from your business. Don't worry yourself. We're doing just fine here. He leaned into and nudged you playfully. Good. So, how may I help you, gentlemen? The word catches you off guard a little, and the way it trips off his tongue so easily. No bitterness or mockery. Joseph seems to stall for a moment before a little wry smile returns to his face. He adjusted his seat to turn to Jacob, who had now taken a seat facing you on the other bench. Well, we're just passing through, but I'm curious. You mentioned something about prayer? Yes. Of course. You must forgive me. I'm clearly far too used to the usuals of this town. His slow drawl of words is comforting, like being told a long-worn story by a grandparent. Need a water break. This is a meeting hall for friends, Quakers, if you will. We're a largely Quaker community here in Clemency. Quakers, oh yeah, a lot of folks over in Pennsylvania and the likes ain't there. Ain't there? Yes, indeed, that's true. In fact, that is where I hail from. But I must admit, it has been a long, long time since I last visited. Sorry, I've gotta say I'm at sea here. I've never even heard of Quakers. I can't say I'm much more enlightened myself. I don't know nothing about them. We both turned to Jacob expectantly. Well, what's the simplest way I can explain our beliefs? He fell into deep thought for a few moments, eyes staring into the middle distance before coming back to life. We believe that there is that of God everywhere, that we all have an inner light that guides us. We don't perform sermons or sing hymns. Instead, we pray in silence together. There are no guidelines as to what you should do other than try to connect and listen to the life in yourself. We also very strongly believe in pacifism and do what we can to promote peace. Denouncing all forms of violence and the degradation of our fellows. Fellows who walk the earth with us. It's important to respect the light of God within everyone. That's certainly how I see it. That sounds nice, but, well, things don't often work that way, in my experience. Jacob smiled wisely, likely having heard the same sentiment many times before. Well, there's certainly some that adhere to it more than others in the town here, but it's always been an important tenet of our community. So, everyone in this town are Quakers? Well, yes and no. Many of us are, but some of us more so would just adhere to the same principles and ideals of nonviolence and so forth. Quakerism isn't enforced, but it bonds this community. Huh, interesting. What about old Sheriff? What about Sheriff? With the pacifism and whatnot, doesn't seem like it'd be easy. Oh, well, yes, I can see how you might suppose that. Sheriff cares about keeping the peace, but isn't solely responsible for it. We all are. It's what made this town so easy to keep up going. Me and Sheriff see eye to eye on so many things. So you and Sheriff have been here a while then? Did you find the place or something? Did you found the place or something? You'd have believed it by the tortoise's age. He could definitely be as old as this town. I know you flatter me, for I am not quite that pioneering, but I have indeed been here for a long time. If you indulge me, I could tell you a little of my story. Please do. Jacob nodded, again drifting off into thought for a moment before coming back with his words. As I said, I'm from Pennsylvania. During the height of the gold rush, with so many heading west, many Quakers thought it would be of benefit to follow. I was much younger then, much more eager to get on the trail and spread the ideals of the Friends. Although I can't say my love of Babylon has waned much. He gave a charming and hoarse little laugh at his own jib. The trail was very hard, but I learned much from others in the caravans and towns and cities on the way. So much life and light. I arrived in this here town maybe more chipper than I had left, but it was not to be. His expression softened, drawing into himself, emotion failing to find his way onto his face. I loathe to speak ill of my fellow man, but when I arrived, this was a godless place. The miners had little care for each other. Be it out of greed or desperation, they were consumed by their need for gold, even those who had their fill. The whole town was tense and unpredictable. Arguments, even violence, would erupt whenever something valuable turned up. A new vein, gold in the river. They do whatever they had to get what they wanted. The night I arrived, they told me of so-called savages that used to reside here. Very little makes my blood boil, I tell you boys, what? But the way the miners talked about those Native Americans, happily they told me stories about the ways they drove them out. Unspeakable things I dare not and would not want to repeat to anyone. I tried explaining to friends why, how even the savages, as they called them, had the light of God how we were equally important in the presence of God's light, that the people we share this earth with were not our enemy. They had no care for my explanations. They had no care for the needs or lives of others other than themselves. It made me wonder how Quakers past had convinced people of the evils of slavery and of the importance of peace, building bonds instead of destroying one another. I lost hope. I thought maybe things had changed so much, perhaps this was the people's limit. Tolerance of those who could get in their way was no longer an option. Or perhaps I was just a failure, unable to convince a single soul of giving a damn. The old tortoise looked forlorn, brow furrowed. He was reliving those moments so vividly that these were the same faces he wore. Then along came Sheriff. Oh, Sheriff. I was a little worried when Sheriff was first assigned to the town that I'd just have another person to fight with, someone with authority on the side of the miners. Instead, I found a kindred spirit, someone who actually listened to me and agreed with me on many things. Very quickly, we became firm friends. Eventually, Sheriff got sick of the miners, decided enough was enough, and shut down the town, forced the miners to move it elsewhere. The entire time he'd been talking about Sheriff, his face was lively and lit up, his hands moving with his words. It was a lot like how your pastor used to give sermons. Surely there was resistance to a whole mine in town being packed up like that. Of course, but Sheriff did what's right. That's the way Sheriff's soul is set. I felt buried by the weight of the town's hate, their convictions like stone walls I could not scale. I'll be grateful to God until the day I die that Sheriff came here. I was given so much hope when I'd lost it all. And you've been here ever since? Jacob chuckled. Yes, we have. Only a handful of us stayed after the miners left, and it was hard to know whether this town would stand still. But we felt sure we could find more people who cared as long as we worked together. More people like us. His words hang in the air, settling around you and Joseph as Jacob settled his gaze on you both. So those mines still around? A lot of mining towns die down because of the gold drying up, but if the miners just left, I guess there's some still here. Well, yes, I suppose so. I can't say I've thought much about it in recent years. We don't encourage those looking for gold, I'm sure you understand. It's nothing but trouble. His warm gaze turned somewhat steely. You weren't sure how long it might go on for if Joseph didn't pipe up. Of course, Jacob. We're just a curious bunch. Thank you for talking with us strangers so long. His stern eyes disappeared in an instant and he humbly waved away. Joseph thanks. No, the pleasure's all mine. It's been good to have new ears. If you'll excuse me now, I must get this place tidied up before today's meeting. Quaker meeting? Yes, indeed. We're both welcome. You're both welcome to join us if you'd like. Thank you, Jacob, but I'm thinking we'll be off anyhow. You will stand, stretch, and shake off the stiffness from your wings, tails, and legs. Go well, and keep the light close to you. You both nod and leave through the same rattling door as before, catching one last glance at Jacob starting his chores before you close it. Joseph stands with you for a moment in the porch of the meeting hall, looking off into the town. What are you thinking? Well, we know now that these folks ain't gonna put up much of a fight. Maybe some of them, but there's definitely gold here, somewhere. Joseph had no real emotions playing across his face, but he was standing much more still than you had seen him before. Like he was trying not to breathe. Come here. We got more people to talk to. He exhaled sharply, the feathers on his beak next to his nose holes fluttered. Yeah. You walked past the houses and people like before, but didn't feel like waving back. The dry desert air is warm in your lungs. Blazing afternoon sun breaks the ground beneath you as you walk near the edge of the town again. Your throat feels tight, feels sore. There's a gentle pounding of blood in your head accompanied by a familiar piercing ache. Everything seems hazier than it usually is. Thoughts are swimming. You're fine. Just keep walking. You almost bump into Joseph as he stops short, looking around again, searching for anything you might have missed. You look as well, but the sun seems too bright somehow. You look down at your feet to shield your eyes, staring at the tiny dunes of your footprints in the dust. Alright, so where to now? I think there is only one place left of interest. You heard what he said, but it didn't quite stick with you. Yeah, sure. Should we get going there then? Again, hearing, but nothing stays. Your thoughts feel like just caught fish wriggling from your hand. Alright then. Let's go. Yeah, let's get moving. Joseph starts walking away and you follow. You try to follow, your feet move, but they don't land where you want and you stumble a little. Joseph looks around at you as you stand there, staring at your feet again. Hey, what's the matter, partner? Huh? I feel a little dizzy. You doing alright? Didn't say anything. He placed his hands on your shoulders and twisted you to face him, looking down into your face. Yeah, you're looking a little sick there. Let's go sit down a spell. He started walking with a hand on your shoulder, guiding you over the ledge with a shallow drop you could both sit on and hang your legs over. You felt better sitting down, more stable. You hear the rustle of Joseph unclipping something from the back of his belt, seeing him pull a round canteen between the two of you. When's the last time you ever had a real drink? Must be mighty thirsty if you feeling that dizzy. Of course, how could you have forgotten? You've been riding and walking all day but hadn't had a drop of anything since you set out. Although you weren't sure what Joseph had brought with him. What's that look for? You think I got liquor in here? He chuckled a little and unscrewed the cap, letting you smell for a moment before taking a big glug. Just water, see? Get it down you before you collapse on me or something. You sheepishly took the canteen from him and gave it a little wave in its direction as a cheers. You tilted to your dry mouth and take deep glugs for a few seconds, licking water droplets hanging off the edge of your lips after. Bit warm for my liking. Can't beat cold water from a clean spring, but better than drying out like your mama's washing. You take another swig before handing it back to him. Thank you. Don't worry about it, just pop up next time. Almost hit the dirt just because you didn't say anything. Sorry, it was just... We have a job here. Didn't feel like I could waste time. time to sit down and drink. You're unlike most I met. Who put a snake in your boots anyway? You gotta slow down a little. Maybe. I mean, what do you do to relax when you're off the job? Relax? Yeah, relax, unwind, take a load off. You know what? I know what you mean. The question just caught you off guard a little. You weren't sure how to answer. You'd never given it much thought. What do you do to relax? The gang is always busy with something, traveling, hiding out, making trouble. Not a lot of time to not do anything. I guess I play cards sometimes, mostly just solitaire. Respectable. You win much? Nope. Ain't about winning anyway. It just helps to pass the time. Yeah, I know what you mean. Me and the boys usually play some rounds of cards, sometimes betting. Although some of them are real sore losers, sometimes it's easier just to let them win and avoid the issue. I beat one of them at poker 5 times in a row, and I swear the rest of the week he was giving me the eyes. Found my hat full of knife holes one morning too, and I think it was just to scare me. At least I hope it was. He gave a loud guffaw. The real and unrestrained kind that made you doubt a second if the canteen was really just water. He had a nice laugh, you thought. Someone actually enjoying themselves. Maybe it was just nice to hear a laugh that wasn't done at you. You a gambling man? A flutter in your chest at the end of your ribs. Not really. Never had much to gamble in the first place. Always seemed like a waste. I can respect that restraint. Don't always have to be about money, mind you. When I was young, me and Papa he stopped for a moment thinking and scratching his neck, his train of thoughts slowed by some forgotten memory. We used to play cards after dinner, and a lot of days when I came home, I'd bring pebbles from the river, and always liked how smooth and pretty they looked. All sorts of colors and shapes, all of them looked different. We kept them on the mantelpiece, and when we played cards, we'd bet with them. He always won, but it was too much fun for me to even be mad. Think he did let me win though when I was betting big and was gonna lose one of the rocks I really liked. He always knew which ones were my favorite. Never wanted to see me cry. Huh. Can't think of any other reason he would have lost to me. Suppose I ought to thank him for teaching me. You weren't sure what to say, so you just gave him a soft smile. Family could be so complicated. You didn't want to say the wrong thing. Oh, you know what? He dug into his pocket and produced a tattered-looking packet in his hand that you recognized to be playing cards. How about some You played that before? And we can bet with the... He twisted around himself looking for anything he could use as a stand-in for betting chips. You saw his eyes settle on a small pile of rocks for a moment, but instead noticed a stray feather barely holding onto the back of his hand. He plucked it and placed it in between you, twisting how he sat to face you better. We can bet on this feather. We'll do a first to 5. You get it if you win, and I keep it if I win. You swiveled yourself around to sit cross-legged and face him. Didn't know you were so desperate to gamble you'd use your own body. Hardy hard. Just thought it'd be more interesting than rocks. Well, I thought you were a rock lover, Mr. Rock Collector. Take them on the open road, your own little rock circus. regular Barnum. Joseph couldn't help but smile even though his fake pouting, even through his fake pouting about your teasing. I don't know if J.H. Barnum has quite the same ring to it, frankly. J.H.? Yeah, as in Joseph Harrier, my initials. No, of course. So, do you know how to play? Nope. Alright, rules are simple. I'm the dealer, and I deal you 2 cards face up. Deal myself 1 face down and 1 face up. Idea is to get as high a number from your cards as you can without going over 21. If you go over 21, it's a bust. Same goes for me. But you need to get a higher number than me to win. A draw is called a push. You can hit to get another card, or stand to stick with what you have. You can hit as many times as you like, as long as you're under 21. Up. After you stand, I flip over my face down card and I have to hit as long as it's under 17. If I go bust or my number is lower than yours, you win. If you get 21 exactly, then you don't hit or stand, and I can get a push in that case. Okay, I actually do know the rules of this game. It's just called something different, okay? Cards are worth what the number says. Face cards like king, queen, jack, or 10. Where things can get a little confounding is that the ace is worth either 1 or 11. Ace is worth 11 in a hand unless it would be a bust, in which case it's just a 1. Ace can still be an 11 if it would let you win. Gets a little muddled during games sometimes, but I ain't trying to cheat you, so don't worry about it too much. Alright, let's play. Like I said, first to 5 wins. I'm standing. Haha! Hit. Bro, I can't see! It's an ace of clubs. Stand. That's him. He won 12. I just found 12 bricks. Whoa! Oh, I went over! I'm standing. Okay, we tied. Alright. Okay, 11 plus 8 is 19. Hit me. Stand. Oh, okay, I'm forgetting. Hit. Stand. I win. Hit me. Hit again. I bust! Hit. I'm standing. Dang it. Sorry, bucko. House always wins, eh? Well. It's still a game of luck, end of the day. Well played, sir. He picked up the feather, but to your surprise, held it out to you. Here, take it. But you won. Well, I don't have much use for a stray feather, do I? Got plenty of them anyway. You keep it. You took the feather in your hand, twisting the smooth quill back and forth a couple of times between your thumb and forefinger. It was thin and tapered, and the color of coffee. Thick, uneven stripes of cream white ran along it in the middle. Thank you, Joseph. Don't mention it. You pocketed the feather carefully. We should probably get back to it. As long as you're happy to and can stand steady, then I'm ready too. You swung yourself onto your knee and stood up with a sprightly jump. Already. Let's get a wiggle on. Yes, sir. Sheriff should know something, surely. Yes, sir. I doubt we're the ones who come looky-looing before. And Sheriff did say to come find him if we needed anything. I have to sit down for a little bit. cabbie tricked me. I thought there were strawberries. There were no strawberries. It was a artificial strawberry drink. Okay, hold on. If I do this... Oh, there it goes. You walk the same direction you saw Sheriff leave. Down towards the closest edge of town, through what might be considered the main road where this town bigger. Sheriff's office is modest, one of the smallest buildings in town. A short, square stone block with barren windows and a lopsided wooden door. As you get close to the squat building, Joseph slows down and raises an arm to your chest to slow you down as well. Okay, partner, what's the plan here? You and I both know Sheriff is going to be the most paranoid, owl-headed son of a gun in this burg. We can't go waltzing in there shooting our mouths off about just anything. Yeah, you're right. All we really need to know is if Sheriff's going to put up a fight. Somehow I feel like they're not your usual lawman. You look around thinking for a bit. Two halves of a tattered sign swing in the wind on chattering chains in front of the building. It seems it had said sheriff once, and the edges of it had the remains of bullet holes, shattered and charred wood. I say we tell him what's really happening. To call Joseph's face incredulous at that moment would have been an understatement. He scoffed a little out of curiosity, rubbing his chin with a feathered hand and trying to think what you could mean. What are you saying? We admit why we're here, acknowledge the corn? Sort of. I think we can tell Sheriff that we're outlaws coming, and we're worried, like, about the town. That's a dangerous play. Look, Sheriff's gonna have a good idea why we're snooping around if we don't have a simple, honest reaction to throw off the scent. It's easier to lie when there's some truth to it. Joseph rubbed his chin again and sighed. I think so too, but still I can't help but feel jumpy walking into the lion's den. You knew what he meant. For people like you, a sheriff's office was never where you wanted to wind up. Walking in the office together, Joseph ducks to clear the doorway. He's cool. You find the inside to be much more well kept than the outside, which had clearly seen some wear and tear in its time. Sunlight and dust in equal measure came in through the windows, landing upon the desk of the sheriff, who was currently rapidly filing a piece of paper with pencil in hand, filling a piece of paper with pencil in hand. After you close the door behind you, you both wait for a few seconds for Sheriff to notice you. Before you can politely knock on the closed door for attention, Sheriff raises a finger on a pencil-holding hand to ask for a moment's more waiting. This was followed by a hasty scribbling onto the end of the piece of paper, before the pencil was thrown onto the desk with little regard. Two keen eyes landed on you and Joseph. Howdy there, fellas. I might be seeing you again. Howdy again, Sheriff. Now, what can I be helping you both with today? Well, Joseph turned to you, locking eyes. You saw the slight wild panic of someone caught in a trap and looking for a way out. Do you protect this town? Sheriff looked miffed, unsure how to respond, like someone had just asked if the sky was blue. As much as anyone else who lives here, yes. What does that mean? I thought you were a lawman. Sheriff regarded you with some annoyance, still seemingly puzzled over what you were asking. I think I see the confusion here. I'm not a lawman. In fact, I'm not gauge your reactions, whether you could be trusted, you guessed. My name is Sheriff. That is the moniker I've chosen, and I'd ask you kindly to refer to me as so, or not at all. Joseph tipped his hat politely. Not a problem, Sheriff. You run this town here, then? That would also be a no. I'm a founder, you might say. But I don't solely run this town. You boys are asking some real strange questions. Is there something I ought to know? Joseph had faltered, and now you did too. This isn't what you just planned. You were just saying the first things that came to mind, fixing on Sheriff with a calm pair of eyes, but a shakiness in your knees. Maybe you'd hoped Sheriff would say something that would change things, change what you were both there for. Before you could fall over, Joseph placed a hand on your shoulder and you tensed before he gave you a light squeeze. Stepped in. We heard from some other fellows on the trail that there were outlaws around coming this way. I see. Well, you boys shouldn't worry. We know how to care of ourselves in clemency. Don't get in trouble around here often, but we make sure to run them off before anything starts. So you've been here a while. Yeah, ages. How'd you end up living here anyhow? What's the story? You said you're some kind of founder? I'm gonna be honest, guys. This is really interesting. I like it. But I cannot stay awake. If you know what I mean. I'm not going to fall asleep as soon as the stream is over. I'm just so tired and my eyes hurt from staring at the screen for so long. Okay? I don't want to keep streaming this. I will finish this story on Saturday. Does that make sense? I think that's a good idea.